shalom, shalom. Hey, it's your brother Ariel from GMS Southwest Florida, out here in Fort Myers, Florida. Back at you again with another live lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Actually, this one's not live. I'm just going to upload it. You know, another prophecy in motion. You know, as I'm just pushing the whip back to my hometown. You know, just got off work. So, you know, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, let's put up this quick lesson, you know, in transit. And first and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. And double honors unto the apostles and the elders of the Great Millstone, the men that have been ruling and teaching well. Also, salutations to you brothers out there that have been pushing the word and truth and in sincerity. And to you brothers and your sisters that just may be listening and learning. May Yahweh Hashem Yahushua barakatam unto you and yours. Okay, as we get closer and closer to the end of the world, all right, you know, we want to make sure that our spirits are right and we are, you know, we're not getting our hopes up on things that, you know, may be a little bit out of our reach right now. Now, we ain't knocking brothers out there that are hastening to coming in the day of the Lord, because the scriptures tell you to hasten to come in the day of the Lord, right? What's it, 2 Peter the 3rd chapter? It says, looking forward and hastening unto the coming of the day of the Lord. All right, because we know that pretty much everything in this world, in this kingdom, the world that we currently know and love, okay, I use those words very loosely, all right, it's all going to be destroyed. You know, great destruction is coming. And that's pretty much the sentiment that we push out over here at the Great Millstone. We warn you brothers of Jacob's trouble, the downfall of society. These things are on the horizon, all right, but they have not yet come to pass, okay? So just because we see certain things happening in the Middle East region, the so-called Middle East, you know, all this war and stuff happening, it's very exciting, and it's understandable for brothers out there to get excited about that, because, you know, this is all prophecy, right? And it should be exciting. It very well should be exciting unto all of us. However, you know, don't get too excited, because you got to understand that, as I mentioned in lessons past, that there's an order to prophecy. So we're not at the stage yet of looking for Yahushua to return. Okay, we know that their day is far. I'm sorry, not far. It's near. It's very near unto us. However, there are certain things that need to happen before we can even say that. All right, you know, because the scripture says, "Look up, for your redemption draweth nigh." Okay, but before we get to that stage, there are certain things that need to happen first. Okay, so yeah, we see a lot of things happening out there in the so-called Middle East, which, you know, that's beautiful, because we've been waiting for this stuff to start going down. Now it's starting to pop off. All right, so it is exciting, but not until the nukes start flying, there ain't really nothing to get too excited about. Okay, because what? Before Yahushua comes, what's the main prophecy that needs to happen first? Okay, and our apostles go into every single lesson. That's right, guessed it. The MOTB. Okay, Revelation the 13th chapter, starting around the 16th verse. That needs to come to pass first, right? That's pretty much the main prophecy that we're looking for. Because once that happens, once they start implementing, because you see how they're talking about wearable devices. Okay, we want to see everybody have a wearable device on by 2030, 2029, something like that. They want to see everybody, all citizens, have a wearable device. Okay, well, we know that a wearable device is just going to lead up into an implantable device. Okay, and that device is going to be basically it's going to have all your information on it, your banking information, your personal information, okay, all your history, your medical information, okay, your record, if you have a record with the law, all that's going to be on there, okay. Everything pertaining to you as a person is going to be on that implantable device, okay. And when you go into Revelation 13th chapter, starting at the 16th verse, it talks about that no man's going to be able to buy or sell or basically take part in society unless you have that mark. Okay? So we're waiting for that. Not until that has been implemented into society, we basically we're still waiting on that, okay? Because the Lord ain't going to come back until that happens, okay? Now everything else, like when you talk about World War III, the nukes flying. Now all that, you see how everything is starting to shape up for this war to begin, okay? So we don't really need to worry about that. Everything is going according to plan as far as that's concerned. But we know the nukes ain't going to start flying until that implantable device has been implemented in society, okay? And we know that the implantable devices are going to be implemented until Jacob's trouble happens, okay? So we're still waiting on Jacob's trouble, okay, which is basically the main prophecy in which we're looking out for. So we're kind of like watching the stock market, we're watching different economic things happening in the world, which is going to lead up to what? A famine, okay? Now, once all that starts happening, okay, and we're out here, people are out here starving, because the elect ain't going to be starving. The elect is going to have food, okay? Pursuant to what? The book of Isaiah, the 66th chapter, I believe it is, okay? It says, my people shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. My people shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. My people shall have joy of heart, but ye shall have vexation of heart. Right? Hold on 1 second. Okay? It says, my people shall have vexation, it says, y'all shall have vexation of heart. Okay? So we know that day is coming, man. We know it's coming, and we're waiting patiently for that day to come, Jacob's trouble. Okay? Because ultimately, that's going to be the ultimate indicator on, looking out for the mark of the beast. Yeah. Wasn't expecting this to happen. I should have. You can look at the rain clouds, you can see that obviously it's going to rain, but, Jay wanted to get the lesson off. So I just wanted to kind of touch on that real quick, because it's all right to be excited about everything you see happening in the world right now, but don't get your hopes up, because ultimately we still got to wait a little bit. We still got to wait for that. We still got to wait for Jacob's trouble to ensue. We still got to wait for the famine of the word. Okay, which all that's probably going to happen simultaneously. All right, we still got to wait for the MOTB. Okay. Now, when all these things start coming to pass, when the MOTB is actually implemented in society, then we can pretty much look up and wait for our redemption to come. But as it stands right now, we still got work to do. We still got to push this word out. The Lord may have it so that there's still brothers out there that need to be waking up. Okay? Or maybe everybody is woken up, but, we still got to prophesy for the sake of prophecy, man. All right, so there's certain things that need to still go down, man. All right, the prophets obviously are still needed on the highways and hedges. Even though pretty much at this point in the game, we said everything that needed to be said. But the Lord still wants us out there to give the warning. All right, so you brothers out there, don't lose your fervency in serving Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua just because, you wanted to come sooner than later. We all wanted to come sooner than later, but there's still work to be done. Okay? There's still a message that needs to be pushed out there. So as long as the Lord still got us out, as long as the Lord still got basically society still up and running, then we still got to go out and prophesy. All right? But I just wanted to touch on that. I don't want to make this too long. Obviously it's starting to rain, so I want to get home safe. So with that, I want to say, call Halal Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Rakak Wadash, and then double honors unto the apostles of GMS. Salute to you brothers out there pushing the word of truth and sincerity. Shalom to the elect. Peace.